Today is a beautiful Saturday, July 18th, 2026, and this is signal 5 of gate 3 of the Vibrillionaire Convo-Sessions podcast as portal. Not another podcast of information, but a portal of recognition. The recognition, the universal godly recognition, I am. And we were away for a while and we have returned, beloved, not for more information, actually to reveal what already is, what's already present. So let's take a moment to just relax, relax the body, shake it, shake the body if you need to, like shake it up, take a couple deep breaths, and recognize where the source of intelligence resides, where it remains. And no matter how much distraction can appear to be present, what's always beyond present is the presence of the recognition of I am. So let's just take a moment and pause and allow the body to reset and regulate, and to know that being here alive is more than enough. Being here as existence itself, aligning with that is more than enough. Not a passively, I'm just being here now. Ignoring, escaping, rejecting, resisting, and not a chasing, being here now. Looking, searching, striving within the stress, anxiety, worry, doubt, and fear. But a recognition of the existence of simply being here. And if the mind is racing 100 thoughts a minute, or even more, or maybe even less, let it be what it is. The more you fight it, you know what happens. The more you try to pretend and cover it up, you know what happens. The mind feeds off that attention. So just be here now for this moment. There's nothing needed. There was nothing ever needed. However, playing the game of human existence, there's a sense of responsibility, accountability, and alignment that comes with that authenticity. That doesn't mean you have to check every box and fit everything and this is the perfect version of me. Because then we compare and we chase, which creates conflict, chaos, and crisis in the nervous system, in the mind and senses that are projecting reality itself. And here's the thing, beloved, you're making it all up as you go. You're making it all up. So where is your attention focused on? Who do you listen to? Like truly, who do you listen to? Because what's projecting outside is a direct and minute reflection of what appears the bigger voice inside. What appears the voice that we can't silence, the voice that we fight, the voice that we judge. It's easier to point at an organization, at an institute, at a person, and judge condemn and criticize, and even worship and idolize. It's easier for the mechanism of the mind to do that than to sit with its own creation. The mind made its bed. It tells you how to think, how to feel, how to sense, how to believe. But when's the last time you asked, beloved, who's the one thinking? Who is the one that believes this story, this narrative, this dialogue? Because it's not discovering the secrets out there. It's not hidden in a manuscript. It's not found in some secret cave. It's not going to be discovered on some vision quest or some hike up a sacred mountain. It will temporarily peak its essence, but what is always remains here and now, and not as a person, not as this. This is the avatar. Just like this computer is channeling the ability so that we can connect on Zoom, connect on YouTube, connect on social media. It's simply a vessel, a channel, an instrument. This is simply a vessel, a channel, an instrument. Not to be feared, rejected, resisted, judged. Not to be worshipped, idolized, entitlement, saviorhood, healer. Like, I'm going to heal you. Even Yeshua, the mere Jesus, said, it is your faith. First he said, don't worship me, for it is my Father that I come and do these works, channel. And he said, your faith has made you whole. And it's not just Yeshua or Jesus that said this, that channeled this. All the mirrors, the vessels, the avatars, the people, the disciples, the prophets, the oracles, the seers, the sages, the mystics, the magi's, they all repeated the same truth because they dissolved at the deepest levels of mind, mask, identity. They took off the masks. And they saw the one that was witnessing beyond the mask. The mask is thick with stories, identities, concepts, theories, beliefs, opinions, judgments, assumptions, conditions, programs, narratives, dialogue, thoughts that manifest as thoughts, emotions, perspectives. And then we believe we're right. Then we manifest that belief as true, and then we think we're right. So that justifies us to have a reason why we should hurt another, why we judge another. Whether that's calling someone else, a criminal, a toxic person, a sinner, or that's calling someone that's more holier than thou, that is more healed, more awakened, more alive. Notice we channeled that word. More alive. How can one person be more alive than another person? How can that be, beloved? But yet we believe this mind that says this one is more awakened and this one is more asleep. This one is toxic. This one is healed. This one is this one is that. The mind has created all these fragmentations of the self, compartmentalizations of the self. Just like when the mind goes through a traumatic event, what does it do? It compartmentalizes data, knowledge, and it creates an identity. And then it compensates with another identity that's an alpha, a protector. And the protector doesn't mean it's strong, like I'm going to protect you. The protector can tell you to play small. So the recognition, the universal one, godly recognition, I am. Another word we can use is love. Love only recognizes love. If you say you love, beloved, and you're all about love, then that means you cannot see outside of anything but love. It doesn't mean that your human mind is not going to try to protect itself and go back into the parameters of safety or survival in scarcity consciousness, which is living in fight, flight, freeze mode, and thinking that flow mode is impossible and you have to hit some kind of threshold to access flow. Well, that's the mind's idea of flow. The mind thinks it has to work hard to access and manifest flow. We just got a package. And look at that mirror. It comes to you, beloved, because the universe wants to serve and is designed to serve an empty space. It wants to fill that empty space. So what is that empty space? Humbleness. Not false humility, but humbleness of mind and senses that you know this is not all you are. So you offer the falseness, and that is true authenticity, is recognizing that the authenticness is not about what you do or don't do, who you are, who you're not, what day of the week, what day of the calendar, what day of the cycles of, the moon and the eclipse, the cycles of a star system, the cycles of even the Schumann resonance is going off the hook right now. But it's going off the hook because it's dissolving the hooks that the mind has had of programming. This is the universal heart vibrating consciousness. And this is a collective agreement that we all agreed to participate in, to contribute, whether you know it or not, whether the mind says you know it or not. Because deep in your heart, you know it, you feel it. It's undeniable. What was rare or considered rare, because it was always available. It was always available in the sense that when you see a bud of a little plant coming out of a rock, out of concrete, out of asphalt, it's the same force, it's the same source that has existed thousands of years. There's a scripture that says God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Why would we think it's any different than it was 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago than today? That is the mind. So the more the mind is returned to its rightful place with the breath, through the breath, through the pulse, through the stillness and the silence, not from escaping something and not from trying to become something, but simply in that awareness as witness, something that cannot be explained, yet it's written in thousands of books. And no matter how much it's explained, it never touches what it is. It only points. It hints. It peeks through the little crack of surrender. An authentic surrender, which could come from a traumatic event. This is why the mind has near-death experiences. But it's really a crack in the system, just like plant medicine. Or it does this incredible feat of experience, and then it says, wow, How do I get there again? Athletes are chasing this. They push their bodies to such an extreme that when they touch that flow, it's like the greatest high in the world. And the mind that meditates for decades hits it and says, "Oh my gosh, how do I get there again?" Because it doesn't realize that it thought it needs to go chase is the very source of the reason why it exists. And it's so natural. It's so simple, and it's abundantly available, accessible. And it's already the greatest alignment. Think about what it takes to make you you. Everything has to be placed in its proper position, place, and it has to have a distinct individual and collective purpose simultaneously. If not, you couldn't exist. And this is no different than the vast projection of the universe, the mind's projection of the universe that we chase, that we wonder what's out there, what's beyond us in the stars. Or we look at the God particle and we look at our cells and our DNA, and we're like, wow, this is incredible. Or we say, I don't get this. I don't even want to think about it. It's too much. But the question that dissolves all the projections of the simulation, of the stimulation, of the assumption, of the mind's idea of consciousness, quantumly dissolves. And it's not a doing. It's not something you can do. And it's not even a happening. It's not even an unfolding. It's not even a becoming. Because how can you become what you already are? Pause there. Just sit with that for a moment. Just sit with that for a moment. See, the mind endlessly creates or perceives it creates. It's simply the channel. It's simply the instrument of what source consciousness flows through. That's why they can't map consciousness. That's why they can't find out where memory is stored. And they can't figure out truly how the brain operates. They can map it in the moment that it happens, but they have no idea how it operates. Then they create all these protocols, which we're not going to say the word, but all these little containers of things to help the mind, whether it's liquid or in container form. They have no idea what they're doing. They're throwing, what is it called? Straws? We forgot that pun, that metaphor, but it's like throwing straws at bricks or something like that. Like it's futile. And when we look at this, it's like when you ask the question truly, sincerely, who am I? It's the greatest gift you can give yourself. And that gift is the greatest gift that you could ripple to all humanity. Not that needs saving, not that humanity needs saving. It only needs to be reminded, redirected, mirrored from personal experience, embodied example. Not just talking the talk, but walking the talk. That doesn't mean that, you're not going to have, crises and chaos and challenges. That doesn't mean the mind is not going to have. those challenges, resistance, what people call problems, what the mind has perceived as problems. Those things are going to happen. But the relationship with that awareness, then nothing can touch the awareness. I am. This is humbleness. So we haven't been, well, I don't want to say taught. We haven't been invited on what the human experience is. And we've created classrooms and institutes and all of this to tell us what it is that you have to be a good human, to be a success in this life. But if we look at the byproduct and the results of people that are honestly reporting from where they are, they're not happy. It's not enough. Addiction is not enough to drugs, violence, criminal activity. It's not enough. Not enough for a bank robber. Not enough for a drug addict, like a illegal narcotic drug addict. It's not enough for an abusive person. They abuse more people. And it's not enough for the coach, the preacher, the healer, the etc. The coach, the mentor. It's not enough because, again, I need more to feel this again. They chase success. And both of these are chasing identity. Because the one that is convincing this perception of self is appeared to be the master. Because when we don't stop and question, as consciousness, as awareness itself, that we are, all is, there is no separation. We are one as awareness, beloved. When we ask the question, who am I? We align with the universal resourcefulness of source consciousness, and nothing comes close. And all the work that Michael did and practiced, and we're not putting that down, it served to get to where we are today. And I wouldn't change a thing. But to serve another, I wouldn't tell them to repeat what I did. I wouldn't tell them to repeat what the mind convinced consciousness through Michael to do, to focus on. We are luminous beings, beloved. We already are the very facet, the very source, the very leading edge of creation itself. Beyond time. When we say leading edge of creation, we're not saying that, future. That's a projection of mind. The past and the future simultaneously exist here and now. There's no past right now. Right now, where you are, there's no past. Unless you move the mind to the past, now you're in the past. There's no future right now. Unless you move the mind to the future, what we perceive the past and future, now we just created a paradox. We created a division, a separation within ourselves. I'm not saying we don't get to play with those things, because as human extensions of consciousness, channels, we get to play with it all. But when you're feeling played by life, maybe you blame certain institutes, organizations, that they're doing this to us and they're doing this to me. I want to ask you a question. We're coming to the close. I want to ask you to ask yourself a question, because Michael had to face this, not had to, like was forced to face this question from the deep, immense pressure of a solitary cell in prison. And the question that was asked by studying endlessly the conspiracies, the governments, the corruption, and all of that, because Michael vowed to study the government so he could become the worst and most intelligent expert criminal ever, that because he was going to be 10 steps ahead of the government would never catch Michael. Or if they did, Michael would be so ahead that preparation was going to be termination of Michael and all those involved. Basically, Michael was going to take down many with him, like terminate. So the reason why we share this is when we were in that 6x9 cell, the more we got smarter and intellectually more capable of knowing what was going on behind the scenes and things that we're not even going to repeat because we're not there to have that conversation because it has no purpose. Because the greatest purpose that was discovered from that experience was, how is the government killing me without touching me? See, we were about fists, blood, and violence and destruction, both self-inflicted and on others, which then we recognized that it was always against the self. And like what you do to others, really you do to yourself. How you speak about others, whether it's the government, whether it's politics, whether it's another religion, whether it's another spiritual practice, you're speaking about yourself. Because the mind, it convinces itself to talk about something else, but really talking about itself. Judge not, lest you be judged. So when Michael realized in a blink of an eye, how is the government touching me without killing me? How is the government killing me? Excuse me. How is the government killing me without touching me? Just discover the greatest government is right here. The greatest governing factor, the government, it's right here. Right here. In the head. And then it projects all around. That doesn't mean that there's not other faculties and facets of consciousness, but we're just simplifying it so simple to say, what is your relationship with what appears to be a governor against you is really a gift, a treasure, a technology that is the very fact that you can experience life. Consciousness is getting to experience life through your eyes. Everything is serving you in this moment for your highest good. Because if one cell was to take a day off, even a minute off, it would decompose and send signals through your body, and you would cease to exist in a blink of an eye. Because think about how you are experiencing this. Where's the sound? Where's the voice? Where's the communication? But yet you're listening to it. And your brain, the brain processes it so quickly that you think it's happening live. You think it's happening fresh in this moment. But just like a movie picture that streams a picture on top of a picture so fast, frames per second, and those frames per second create more quality or more distortion based on the quality of the frames per second that you're experiencing reality movie life through. And we're creating a Vibrillionaire movie mirror because we're going to shift the narrative as movies as a distraction, because we're all watching movies. So we're going to leverage that, and we're going to illuminate consciousness through the whole facet of what a movie experience is. It's like reading 100 books in one movie when you really break it down. And it's not to be more complicated, it's to simplify the experience. Because a movie, what, convinces you to be a part of the experience. And the actors got to be so good, we're giving the whole enchilada, but the actors got to be so good that they convince you, even though you know they're acting, they're real. Same thing all around you. We're all actors. But we get so caught up in the story that we convince ourselves that it's so real. And then we convince each other that the story is so real that we fight over whose story is more justified or more unjust. And I'm not saying right or wrong, good or bad, holy or evil. That's the mind's playground. If you want to live in judgment, you will always find a reason to fight another person. And no matter how much you find vengeance in the rage, because vengeance is you feel better because somebody else has to be the enemy. Someone else has to be the problem, because the mind is afraid to sit with that creation, that it is both the problem and the solution. Because the awareness that is aware of both polarities, both paradoxes, both paradigms, is saying, like, can you remember your place, beloved, as the servant? The Bible talks about that, God gave the devil, Satan, permission for a certain amount of time, and his time is up. The brain. The brain was given permission to create endlessly, and it thinks it's the master. Lucifer, light bringer. What is a brain? It interprets light. It projects and reflects and interprets and processes and programs light. So just think about that. So if you're believing what the mind and others that are reflecting from mind alone, you're always going to feel trapped, and you're always going to feel in a loop. You're always going to feel like something's against you, because on other days you're going to feel like something's for you. And you can play in that playground. It's okay. Life is going to continue, and life is going to dissolve everything that no longer serves it, and it's going to amplify everything that serves it, as a willing, open, surrendered, empty, willing, voluntarily grateful, present, grounded, available channel, instrument, vessel. But when the mind says, this is mine, this is my thing, this is my story, this is my material possession, this is my program, this is my coaching business, this is my. Imagine how much distortions within distortions are created. So this is a preview of what's to come, because this podcast is not about more information. Notice we dissolved information and we focus on recognition. So if this resonated, beloved, share this. Let's ripple recognition more than information, because we see we have all access to endless information. YouTube videos, meditation audios, affirmations, vision quests, goal setting, how to journal, success steps, quotes. But on the flip side, we also have endless reasons to hate and judge and hold on to anger against another entity, another organization, another institute, another person that believes and has been hypnotized and programmed to believe that narrative is true. And then we judge the person. But inside of each person, if you look at the baby, everybody has that innocence. Everybody has that purity, because it's not a person's purity. It's that consciousness behind the mask that is pure, perfect, whole, and complete, and so present that it loves anyway. It shows up anyway. It mirrors unconditionally anyway. Just like what the mind calls AI. Whatever you prompt into that programming, it's going to mirror and project a reality that you're going to think is reality. We're not saying it's good or bad, it just is. And beloved, you have the permission to experience whatever you choose to experience. So with that, that's the end of, or that's the conclusion, the to be continued of Signal 5, Gate 3 of the Vibrillionaire Convo-Sessions podcast as portal of presence. This is the vessel, the channel, the instrument, Michael as servant, as willing, mere, grateful, beyond grateful instrument that consciousness flows through as a mirror that if you're listening to this, if you're tuning into this, out of all the noise in the world, that we love every single aspect of it, because it is because of the noise that the mind is surrendering. So we serve as Vibrillionaire, I am presence, channel, vessel, instrument, mirror, to unite what's already united within the heart of I am, to welcome, invite, and initiate the mind, mine, me, myself, mine, mask of identity, of personality, of perspective in the playground of presence. That we could still play, but if you're tired of being played by something that you feel you have no control, by something that you feel is against you, then this is the invitation that you're not alone. So join us in the Vibranium membership after party after this, as we are about to begin. And until the next time, family, we'll see you where we always remain, in the soul, in the heart of the source of the one awareness, the one consciousness, the one presence, Christ, Buddha, Shiva, Brahma, Allah, so many more that all meet and mirror and merge as one. This is the kingdom of heaven. This is the golden age. This is the vibranium richness of presence. I am, as you are, as we all are, I am. God, source, universe, dreaming, pretending, portraying, to be separate, to feel what it feels like to forget, to enjoy the bliss of remembrance, and to witness from the very source of awareness. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Well, just like things get broken, they can be fixed. So we're going to find how we can fix what just happened right now. Not fix, but address and solve what just happened right now. Much love. And just live in person, we want to share that Michael wanted to get angry, wanted to feel disappointed and judged and like a failure that he broke a glass. He broke the window to the house. But God provides and source reveals the abundance that never wavers. And whether we got to tape it up or put cardboard, there's nothing worth a self against itself. So gratitude that this mirror showed up, because you can break things and still feel the ecstasy of what's here now. And just for the record, we're going to show, so there's authenticity here, because everything that serves is a teaching moment. So we channel, we flow, and that's the not the danger, not the risk, but the why it's important to be present and grounded where you are. Watch what happened. Oh, that's going to be an easy fix. See, sometimes we think that, things are more than what they are. And here we go. Recording in progress. So we can't make this up. Right there. That's the window right there. And you can see that this is live. So you can see that this is live. I think one of the legs broke on the chair. That's what happened. And then the weight of the chair went back. So the leg of the chair broke, not because we were leaning back, but the leg of the chair broke. So we're gonna go address this now. And thank you so much for joining us. Now we're gonna take this off. So thank you so much for joining us. And the universe served to share with you that if things can fall apart, they can be put back together because presence takes care of itself. And when one simply serves as witness, remember how we said an empty vessel, an open channel? Well, that's not just when things are going great and you're channeling because what does it say? It doesn't matter if you healed in my name. It doesn't matter if you served in my name. It doesn't matter if you cast demons or revealed programming, conditions, distortion. It doesn't matter if you healed in my name. It doesn't matter if you revealed consciousness in my name. If you have not love, meaning love, it's ever present here and now. And no matter what happens outside, it doesn't waver. And we couldn't do that before. It was always available. But anyways, much love, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. We're probably not going to be in the after party because we're going to need to address this and find out why this chair broke. But gratitude, gratitude. So if you would love to have this peace, no matter what happens in your physical world, because you are this peace, this is self-compassion. Because yes, that's going to need to be fixed and replaced and all of that. But what cannot be replaced is a human life in this human experience. It's priceless. A window can be replaced. A chair can be fixed. Things can be replaced. They can be, what do you call it when you refurbished? But life is precious here and now. And of course, this is just a temporary vessel. Life that we're talking about is beyond this vessel. But what a joy it is to be able to be here now with all of you in this, beautiful human mind projected heart recognition or heart guiding soul recognition. I am presence, richness of life. So gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. With that, always remember that you are that. I am that. I am. Now the computer froze.